Can you hear me, Tsai? Otherwise, maybe we could have Director Liew first. So Franz, please. Yeah.
All right, I'll start this session. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
All right. So good morning to all the participants today. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Franz de Leon of the Advanced Science and Technology Institute from the Philippines. Okay. It is an honor to attend my first APAN session and to be with your company. I would like to thank Dr. Eriken for inviting me to be the co-chair of the DMWG, and I warmly welcome all the participants in today's sessions. We have been facing unprecedented challenge throughout the world, the coronavirus of 2020. We have had our fair share of struggles and successes, and also of sufferings and triumphs. So as we navigate this health crisis, and yet, like all crises, the pandemic also provided us an opportunity to challenge the frontiers of our disciplines. We have been faced, as we move forward, we are still facing another issue today. Of course, we have our intense heat waves and drought are becoming more frequent. Unusual tropical cyclones originate from beyond the traditional risk zones and follow tracks that have not yet been seen before. And unprecedented floods in extremely fragile ecosystems are multiplying. So disaster risk reduction and management has been part of the thrust of the Philippine government. So the country remains vulnerable to extreme weather events and natural disasters because of its geographic location, along with other countries in the region. Disaster risk reduction and management is a regional concern that needs to be tackled through a concerted regional effort. In the Asia-Pacific region, we share common risks when it comes to extreme weather and natural disaster events. Vulnerabilities, on the other hand, depend on the readiness of a country to handle such events. So the Philippines is one of the countries most affected by extreme weather events because of its geographic disadvantage, but so is Taiwan. Our two countries more often than not share the same typhoons, so to speak. But Taiwan is one of the most prepared and equipped countries in terms of disaster management, with its advanced hazard mitigation technologies that reduce the impact of disasters. So we can really learn a lot from Taiwan's experience. Since 2008, disaster management has been one of the main areas supported by the ASTI. Similarly, ASTI engages through regional collaborations in disaster management. In 2015, during the APAN53 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the Disaster Management Working Group first convened. As one of the group's first case studies, ASTI collaborated with ASGC and Professor Choren Wu of the National Central University on an in-house storm surge model, which Dr. Wu's team developed. The model can simulate storm surge and tide on spherical coordinates simultaneously, and coupled with global tide model and regional meteorological model, inundation area and maximum surge height can be calculated. So using Typhoon Haiyan as a case study to demonstrate the accuracy of the simulation model, Dr. Wu's team used the data from ASTI developed weather stations. So since then, the DMWG has been a regular track in APAN meetings. So the initiatives of APAN will lead to a safer and more resilient strategies through the reduction of risks and leveraging of capacities and opportunities across all levels of government, the private sector, academia, non-governmental organizations, associations, indigenous peoples, and the general public alike. So our collaborative efforts have the power to protect the current and next generations. In today's sessions, I hope to learn from all our participants from different countries so we can find more opportunities not only to share, but to collaborate. I have to have a fruitful and meaningful discussions with all of you. Thank you very much and good morning to all.
Thank you so much, Director Liew.
Okay. Yeah, Eric, sorry my mind didn't work and came a little bit late. I came early, cannot get access, something like that. Yeah, okay. Anyway, welcome everybody and welcome new co-chair, and we hope that we will have fruitful collaboration in the future all together. But the our disaster mitigation working group worked so hard in the past few years to get things going in the operational direction. But as we know, it's very difficult. We kind of develop some tools by the groups, but then it's discontinue with the funding that Eric, maybe you get the new one soon, so we can move a little bit further. So that's also the problem that we face. And most of the work here that we are doing is volunteer work. So it kind of sometimes drain out your energy too much, but the result is not that great as our expectation. We are looking forward with Professor Wu that already developed the Tsunami system in the ICOMCOT in Taiwan. Great, I think it's in already running. And then with the new Dr. Yu-Lin Tsai that have this storm surge that we will listen from him, that he developed it from the ICOMCOT from COMCOT to the storm surge COMCOT, I guess. And then we will learn more from that. And then with the Ken, I hope that it's his new tool with the Himawari will be great for us, but we'll wait and see how it's gonna be. So the collaboration is going on, but we have to be more solid and moving forward. In the meantime, welcome everybody, and then looking forward to a very fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tsai. So next, let me start it from the program agenda today. So we have two sessions for the meeting today of the Disaster Mitigation Working Group. And after the introduction, very nice words from the two co-chairs, I have a few slides about the background and also the plan for this working group, and then followed by a pre-recorded presentation by Dr. Yu-Lin Tsai, focusing on storm surge and tsunami. And then we have a case study from floods by Professor Liew. And then we, in the last talk of this session will be a talk from Professor Murata from NICT Japan. And then before the coffee break, we could have a photo taking for our gathering today. In the second session, we have the talks from Tsai on the forest fire and hydro-informatics, and also the project he's working on for quite a long time about ASEAN collaborations. And then we have another talk by Nikki from ASTI, Philippines, about a disaster mitigation-related initiative of ASTI. And if other partner like to share anything, I think we still have about 15 minutes for you as a flexible room. And then we have another talk by Professor Kumar from India. So that's the arrangement for the meeting today. If there's anyone has any question or comment. So let me have some background as mentioned by Tsai and also Director Liew. This working group started from 2014, initiated by Dennis, who was the director of ASTI in Philippines, and also by Professor Neng and Veerachai. And the vision and also the goal of this working group is to support the capacity building by collaborations based on the case study approach. In the past 3 to 5 years, we've been working on several case studies, and leading by the leaders of the Haze types. For example, Professor Liew, who is in charge of the floods. And Veerachai is leading the hazard of forest fire, haze, maze monitoring. And we have Professor Wu Zhuren leading on the tsunami and storm surge. Now we have Dr. Yu-Lin Tsai sharing some of the works for these hazards. And we have another professor from Academia Sinica Taiwan, Lin Chuanyao, who is an expert on the weather-oriented hazards, etc. So I have to thanks for all the leaders for their great jobs leading those case studies, which I summarize another slides later. So based on this study, we developed the best practices and risk analysis capability based on the knowledge and numerical simulations. And so all the data, tools, and resources and knowledge from the case study could be shared. So all the partners could make use of all these shared resources for their own case studies. And then the case study could be shared and also to improve the capability of other partners. So engagement of local user community, not just for the users of the hazard risk analysis, but also the resource and the IT infrastructure support from your countries to work together. So we also welcome all the partners to bring your own case study to this collaboration. And in the disaster mitigation working group, we host the master class workshop training and any kind of activity at APAN meetings where we could have gather together twice a year, and also at IGC, another international event hosted by AGC for the from 20 years ago. So the expected outcome is the best practice and also risk analysis and knowledge. So, and we hope that the capacity of all partners could be evolved, along with more shared resources and also the case studies. And also the collaboration infrastructure will be improved accordingly. So as I mentioned in the disaster mitigation working group, it's a primary collaboration framework for all the partners, for all of you. So any kind of activity you think that's helpful for this community, for this goal, for your case studies are very welcomed. And then I think all the co-chair and myself could support the activities, even it's not we need to arrange separate events. The action items, this is listed and also presented in previous APAN meetings. So as you know that all the partners are now a new European initiated project called the EGIS. That's part of the European Open Science Cloud projects. And together, the Asia partners, we are working on the Disaster Mitigation Competence Center, DMCC, which has been extended to agriculture areas from the project started from January 2021. So we hope to have more case studies from different partners on different hazards. And because the UND has been ended, and currently we are still seeking for new funding to support the next phase of the UND. Could be different the topics, and also the collaboration could be a little bit different from the previous one to support the capacity building to extend the experiences from the previous UND collaborations, and also to extend the application scope to agriculture and others. So through the APAN framework, we have very good opportunity to have collaborations with other working groups. For example, there is the agriculture working group, the open and shared data working group leading by Dr. Tsai, and also cloud working group, etc. Yeah. So as Director Liew mentioned, this topic, hazard risk reduction and also risk analysis is very crucial to the almost every Asian partners, and especially to the sustainability of the humanity, and also especially in Asia, as some of the statistics mentioned in this from these slides, according to the updates from the UN. So a quite confirmed trend is that more heat wave and drought and forest fires, such as those we have observed recently, will be happening, and more water vapor in the atmosphere has increased the extreme rainfall and also flooding, and also the warming oceans almost around the world, affecting the frequency and extent of the most intense tropical storm, etc. Yeah. So about the deep understanding approach, and also how to building up the hazard risk analysis capability. In short, the case study of the collaborations aims to quantify the risk and also reduce at least one of the dominating factors of vulnerability, exposure, and hazards based on the up-to-date knowledge of physics behind the disaster. That's the core ideas of the deeper understanding approach, and the outcome contribute to the better strategy of the disaster management, and also to reduce the impacts. So based on a logic workflow like this in these slides, and we developed the numerical simulation tools from the knowledge of the science behind the hazards, so that all the partners to making use of the tools to improve the risk analysis capabilities for future events. And then with more case studies, we hope that more simulation tools could be developed, could be available for all the partners. So that's the core ideas. So in the past few years, we've been the ideas to integrate the simulation portal, the knowledge base, and also the case study to support the shared knowledge and also simulation tools, and to improve the risk analysis framework. It's proved to be a feasible approach from the UND project, and also from the DMWG collaborations, and also from the sharing in the disaster mitigation group. So here is the list of the case study we've been conducted and shared in the past 5 years, leading by those leaders, as I mentioned. And actually, from after the end of UND project from 2021, there are new case studies. For example, the climate resilient agriculture for disaster risk reduction, the CREDA project, which is leading by HII in Thailand. That's a very good example, and also a essential starting point to extending the disaster mitigation works to the agriculture areas. I think there will be some news, and also the future plan in the agriculture working group. So which is in 11 a.m. on March 10 in this week. And we have a case study of Franz of Malaysia. I think Professor Liew will introduce some of the works later in his talk. And as you notice that there is a volcano in Tonga earlier this year. So Professor Wu also has some study on this case. And I think in later in the talk about by Tsai Yu-Lin, we'll mention a little bit about this case study. Detailed study of this case will be explained by Professor Wu in IGC later in this month. So this is a summary of the CREDA projects. Because of the time, I think I'll skip the details of these projects, but this project is a very important for the extension of the hazard risk analysis to other areas. And after the Tonga volcano eruption happened, Professor Wu's team has some simulation based on the COMCAT model. And here's some preliminary results from Professor Wu. So how to summarize a case study, which is very important, so that all the partners could be taking advantage of those experiences and knowledge and data, anything from the work. I think in our previous training and workshop, a very good summary from Professor Liew provide a guideline for the case study. So including a description of the target simulation model, tools, parameter data, numerical experiment process and outcome, analysis of the root cause, etc. So we hope that all the case study could be have well formatted documentations of the case studies for better data sharings. So in terms of the infrastructure, so we hope the all the partners could have a resource if you like to share, and then we can federate the distributed resources by the distributed cloud framework to support the simulation portal and the shared tools and knowledges, and also the data, any materials of the outcomes from the case studies. So that in the future training or the master class events, so the partners could make use of those tools to reproduce the case studies conducted, and also to make use of all the framework for their new case studies. So we've been building up the collaboration framework. Some of the simulation tools, such as the ICOMCAT mentioned by Liew and also Veerachai, has been available. And some of the case study, the next step is to make those case studies be reproducible in the shared framework, so that in every APAN meeting we can check or we can have more partners share their requirements, and also to share their works on some cases. The next few slides, some of the new activities in the collaborations, for example, how to make better use of the satellite images and also Earth observation informations. I think Professor Ken Murata is an expert on these areas. I think in his talk, there will be some very good examples for this. again, based on the case study of Typhoon Haiyan, we've been trying to integrate some of the analysis after such kind of disasters and to tracking the following development in the header areas by the analysis of the satellite images, such as the vegetation change, etc. That's just one of the examples. So in Taiwan, academia Sinica is now working together with the national space organizations. We are trying to build up a spatial temporal information infrastructure based on the open data cube, so that those satellite images, no matter the sources from different satellites, any shared observation, Earth observation information could be accessed through this framework to access to the analysis ready data, so that the satellite data could be, the value could be extended, and for the end user, it's easier to access a broader types of information, especially from the space. So, and the scope of the application could be extended to almost every aspect of the disaster management workflow, from the preparedness to the response to the recovery, and also to the mitigation for the long-term monitoring and evaluations, etc. And the ICOM card simulation portal is the first one from the regional collaboration, which is being available. So here you can have the URL, and then please, by clicking on the login functions, and then apply for a personal account, then you can make use of this framework for the real-time tsunami simulations just by browser, and also with parameter for the earthquake source. The next step will be, because the knowledge sharing is the key to these collaborations. So now we have Veerachai leading for the new working group. I think we can learn a lot, and working together with this working group to better share those outcomes from our work. And also the collaboration with the EGI from the European Open Science Cloud. So there's a open and sharing data working group, have 2 or 3 sessions on Wednesday. And in the cloud working group, we will have a presentation from Giuseppe La Rocca from EGI. We'll introduce the collaboration with the EGIS and the Asia partners on Wednesday. So we hope with all your help and all the contributions from the leaders and also the partners, the regional collaborations for the risk analysis capacity building could keep on moving. Here's some of the works in the past few years. So the future works listed here for your reference. So in later from the week of March 21st, there's the IAGC. So again, we have the joint DMCC and environmental computing workshop on March 23rd. And in summer this year, I hope that we could start to have us meet up together physically for another disaster mitigation working group in the next APAN meeting. And in the autumn, I think there will be EGIS and also EGI conference later this year. And then in 2023, there should be another APAN meeting. Then we could have more partners together. And here the draft program of the joint workshop in IGC. So we'll have a keynote speech by Professor Wu on the Tonga volcano eruption and tsunami event. And I hope to have some updates from the leaders of the this collaboration. For example, Franz from Professor Liew again, and also Forest Fire by Dr. Veerachai. And the share from all the partners are also very welcomed. And we have another session, as usual, organized by the Leibniz Supercomputing Center in Germany, and more work and also presentations from European partners will be shared in this joint workshop. So lastly, I think I have to thank all the great support from the EGI Asia Connect, the NSPOs in Asia, and also academia Sinica. Especially grateful for the excellent leadership of all the coordinators and organizers, and also appreciate all the contribution from all our partners. Sorry, there's a quite lengthy slides for the background and also the status of this working group. If there is any comment. If not, I think I should. The next talk will be by Professor Yu-Lin Liew, Yu-Lin Tsai, I'm sorry, by a pre-recorded slides on the case study of storm surge and tsunami. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I am Yu-Lin Tsai from National Central University, Taiwan. It's my pleasure to give a talk at Disaster Mitigation Working Group at APAN53. But first of all, I need to say sorry that for some reasons, I cannot attend this workshop in person. So I will use this pre-recorded video to show you some of our progress on storm surge and tsunami case studies. And our members are Professor Wu from National Central University, Taiwan, and Eric and Simon from ASGC Taiwan, and Professor Lin Chuanyao from Sinica Taiwan, and Veerachai from HII Thailand. So in the very beginning, I want to show you some pictures for storm surges. And this photo is the Kansai International Airport in Japan in the aftermath of Typhoon Jebi. Most parts of this airport near the ocean were flooded by storm surges due to Typhoon Jebi 4 years ago. As you can see that this photo is quite amazing for showing the power of storm surges. Another famous example is the 2012 Hurricane Sandy induced storm surges and flooded the New Jersey, United States of America. You can see that all houses and facilities were damaged by storm-induced floods, and this yellow water indicates that the flow also carried out some sediments. So therefore, from these two examples, we have known that the storm surges are one of the biggest threats to nearshore regions. So what is storm surge? The definition of storm surge is the abnormal water level rise induced by low water pressure systems such as typhoons or hurricanes. And some main factors contribute to storm surges are sea level pressures, surface winds, wind waves, tides, bathymetries, and so on and so forth. And especially when storm surge propagates to nearshore regions, surface winds and storm surge interacting with wind waves and tides will amplify the surge high in coastal regions. So therefore, we know that the storm surge involves several physical scales and crossing different time scales. In Western North Pacific Ocean, we have several typhoons almost every year. The intensity are quite extreme. So from these tables, we can see that the 10-meter maximum wind speed can reach more than 200 kilometers per hour. Also, their minimum central pressure is even lower than 900 high pop. However, in the future, we will face the situation that the future typhoons might increase in number or intensity. So, as we are located in the typhoon-prone region of East Asia, how to prevent the threats of storm surges and minimize the dangers from potential severe typhoons has become a big challenge to us. As I mentioned before, the storm surge study involved different physical scales and factors. So this study dramatically relies on the collaboration from different science backgrounds, such as aerodynamic science and hydrodynamic science, and other supports from computer science and governmental organizations are really important. Besides, the more observation data is necessary to deeply and really understand the physics of storm surges. Our first case study of storm surge is the 2013 Super Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, occurring on November. At the time, the Typhoon Haiyan was the strongest typhoon land tropical cyclones ever recorded in the Western Pacific Ocean. So from some field surveys, the inundation depth of storm surge is 5 meters and the run-up height is around 7 meters. The storm track of the Super Typhoon Haiyan passed the central Philippines, then to South China Sea, and then arrived China. The strongest intensity was felt when it made landfall near the Philippines. So it implies that the severe storm surges will be found in the central part of the Philippines. So to calculate storm surge propagations from ocean to near shore, we developed a storm surge model called Concave surge, which is from a famous tsunami model, Concave. And Concave solves the complex governing equations, including the sea level, pressure gradients, wind shear stress, and horizontal eddy diffusions, nonlinear advection terms. To consider different wavelengths of storm surges from the ocean to near shore, Concave can use two-way grid nesting function in time and space to cover the different grid sizes and different time steps in between. Besides, Concave surge has a moving shoreline tracing method to calculate the inundation areas and the flood depths for disaster mitigation. So we will use this model to reconstruct the case study of the Super Typhoon Haiyan. From the wind inputs, we use a classical Holland parametric wind model. The sea level pressures and the gradient winds are formulated by these two equations. Besides, the scale parameter has been determined and slow moving effect is considered in our study. And in these two right figures, we use different radius of maximum wind to test the performance of this model. And they have been compared with the observation data at Yu-Lin weather station. And so, in summary, the radius of maximum wind, 30 kilometers, has the best fit with the observation data. This calculation results show the storm surges induced by Typhoon Haiyan propagating from Leyte Gulf to the San Pedro Bay. When Typhoon Haiyan made landfall at Leyte Island, the wind direction points to the bay directly. Therefore, severe storm surges of more than 6 meters to 7 meters were generated by the winds inside the bay. So the arrows shows the wind direction from the classical parametric wind model, and by the comparison with the measurement data from field survey, the storm surge height becomes larger from outer part of the bay to the inside. As you can see, the blue line is our model results, and these black dots are the observation data from field survey. We also analyze coastal storm surges and flow velocity fields due to the Typhoon Haiyan. The region is our focus. Near the bay and the Tacloban airport, storm surges flooded the coastal regions dramatically. The color shading indicates the surface elevation of storm surges in meter. Besides, we also found that there is an anti-clockwise eddy, a curve inside the bed. However, after the typhoon landfall, this anti-clockwise aid is dissipated. This arrow shows the storm-induced flow directions in these figures, and more detailed results can be found in our published paper on water this year. Our second case study is tropical storm Pabuk in Thailand. The storm intensity of Pabuk is around 1,000 high power minimum central pressure with 45 knots maximum wind speed. As you can see that tropical storm Pabuk also brought huge rainfall and waves to coastal regions, and during its passage, 10 people were dead. First of all, we show the computed storm surges with 10-meter wind fields. The storm surges are calculated by our in-house Comcast surge model. The 10-meter wind fields are from ECNWF, ERA5. On the left-hand side, storm surges of about 0.5 meter hit Neng. At the time, tropical cyclone Pabuk is about 100 away from the coast, and its storm center can be clearly observed from the wind fields. After Pabuk make landfall, more significant storm surges move northward because of the wind direction changes. Storm surge hit Solar Tanis of about 0.5 meter storm surges. Also, the surface winds hit the same locations. As we can see from these two figures, the storm surges has a coincidence with surface winds. And we put two numerical gadgets to record the time history of storm surges and compare with the observation data at KS and KP locations. So the detailed locations can be found in this table. And this figure shows the comparison at KS and KP stations are perfectly matched. Our model results in blue lines match quite well with observation data in black lines. And we need to know that this observation data has removed the tide effect, and the maximum storm surge highs are found near the time of landfall. Besides storm surges, tsunami is another kind of chance oceanic disasters. Recently, we have the Tonkan volcano eruption, which caused the following tsunami waves hitting several countries around the Pacific Ocean, such as Japan, Hawaii, New Zealand, and United States of America. It has attracted a lot of attention by science. As you can see from the right figures, this Tonkan Island is located at the Pacific Ocean between the New Zealand and Hawaii. The crater is located near the center of the island. The eruption occurred on 15th January this year. The satellite images clearly observe the volcano eruptions from the space. In the right side, the Hinamari 8 satellite recorded the ash cloud from ground to atmosphere. After the volcano eruptions, the following tsunami waves hit several countries around the Pacific Ocean. As we can see on the left-hand side, tsunami waves hit the coastal facilities and houses. And if we see the tsunami waves recorded by NOAA buoys, we can find that the leading tsunami waves arrive at the buoys following the sound speed in the air, which is around 300 meters per second. It might imply that the shock waves in the air induce this water surface disturbance worldwide. However, the volcano-induced tsunami waves attribute to several reasons. So now we cannot really say that which one is the main factor to induce tsunamis. So it requires more data to convince the mechanism. So after that, I would like to introduce our cloud computing tsunami modeling service, IconCut. At ASGC Taiwan, we have a geographical user interface to input, such as vocal mechanism for modeling the earthquake tsunamis, and the consequence will be visualized automatically after the job is submitted and finished. So in the end, I would like to say something for the summary. We have carried out 2 case studies. One is Super Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, and the other one is Tropical Cyclone Pebble in Thailand. We do hope that these 2 case studies can contribute to disaster mitigations in the Asia regions, and we hope that more observation data can be contributed for more case studies in the future. Besides, tsunami waves induced by Tonkan volcano eruption attracted our attentions recently. This study is still ongoing, and we hope that we can see more after the following months. Our model results of Conca surge and Ayaconca can be found in this reference. So finally, thanks everyone for listening, and more discussions are welcome by using this email to contact me. Thanks.
So should you have any comment or question to Dr. Tsai to the ICOMCAT and also the tsunami and storm surge applications? So please just send the email to him directly or to me.
Well, I think Ken has something to ask.
Yep.
Please, Ken.
No, I just plug. No question.
Okay, thank you. Then let's move on to the next talk by Professor Liew. So Junan, the floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Maybe just give me some time to set up my presentations here.
Okay.
Share the screens. All right, I have shared that. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. So with the given times of 20 minutes or so, I would like to say something about meteorological characteristics of the flood, record flood producing events over Peninsula Malaysia in December 2021. So this is a recently happened extreme events, which has essentially break the many records of in terms of rainfall intensity and as well as the scale of the economic losses, etc. So I'll spend some time here, give an overview of the events, but with a specific focus on the meteorological characteristics. As we know, and also as mentioned by Eric just now, it is very important for us to carry out case studies. In fact, it is basically essentially an important part in meteorological research because it serves as integral components to improve our weather forecast and also to make understanding of those processes that we don't previously understand, such as, for example, we want to understand what is the role of the large scales versus the local scale forcings, and then how does the global warming actually altered the probability of such events, etc., and as well as how does the local developments, for instance, the change in the local land uses basically affects the chances of these types of flood events. So, and then we understand most high-profile extreme weather events in Malaysia can be somehow associated to cyanotic escalations. Just coincidentally, these events basically happens in accordance to the occurrence of some kind of vortices that happens around in the South China Sea. So I'll discuss more on that later on. And as well as coincidentally, this year is essentially a La Nina years. And we know from the previous experience, our experience that during the La Nina, especially the moderate types of La Nina, we usually have wet anomalies over the Peninsula Malaysia. So these are some of the statistics I managed to scoop from the internet. We didn't actually produce that, but this is from officials' reports. Basically, the heavy rains happens starting 16th December, but it gets heavier on the 17th and 18th December last year's. After the floods, there are about 63,000 people was displaced, and majority of them actually focus on come from these states, Pahang and as well as Selangor. So the total loss is about 6.1 billions. And if we convert that to GDP, that's about 0.4%. Excuse me. So those are. Sorry, can I get 5 minutes, Eric? I need to take some time off. Sorry. So these are basically the some of the photo footage I managed to get from the reports, basically coming from Malaysia drainage and irrigation departments. Right. What I show here is basically the rainfall distributions coming from about 800 to 900 different stations maintained by Malaysian drainage and irrigation departments. So as you can see, the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia started to receive heavy rainfalls starting on the 15th December, but the rainfalls getting heavier on the 16th, and by 17th December, almost entire portions of the Peninsular Malaysia has received a great amount of rainfalls. And some of the stations basically recorded rainfall, 1 or 2 stations recorded rainfall more than 300 millimeter per day. And the event actually extended to 18th of December, and this is where the west coast of Peninsular Malaysia is over this area. This is basically Kuala Lumpur areas, which is the capital economic centers of Malaysia, received the largest amount of rainfall. So a few stations here actually received more than 300 millimeters rainfall per day. All right, so this is again showing the same pictures, but the information was basically extracted from the radar systems maintained by Malaysian meteorological departments. As you can see, by 18th, so that is when the heaviest rainfall was received over the west coast of Peninsular Malaysia. So what we do here is basically we focus on these areas, looking at 3 different water catchments, and then we extract the rainfall information from the stations. If you can have a look there, so the blue color was actually from the stations, and then the red one was actually from the radar reflectivity, which was then converted into rainfall amounts by drainage irrigation departments. So as you can see, some of the areas actually received very heavy rainfalls, especially over if you look at these catchments, Langat catchments, located the southmost one among the 3. So you can see some of the stations actually recorded very heavy hourly intensity of 60 to about 80. Even some of them, according to the radar, received more than 100 millimeter per hour of rainfall. So those are basically factors that causing the floods, very high intensity of rainfalls over the regions. So someone from our groups are actually interested in using the satellite information to produce a flood maps. So this is essentially what a map that has been produced by using a few of the informations from the Sentinel satellites. As you can see, most of the flooded areas are concentrated near the riverbank and also close to the coastlines. All right, so and what actually causes these events? So if you're looking at the atmospheres, so on the 14th December, there was actually a westward moving systems, a low pressure system that was developed here, somewhere here. And these systems are usually given the name bonnet vortex. And over the years, we know that this morning vortex, when it propagates across westward across Peninsular Malaysia, usually it causes problems. So if you look at the systems here, you can clearly see the slow moving and westward propagating systems. So the Joint Typhoon Warning Centers upgraded that systems to a tropical depression, and actually it was actually given the names of 29Ws on the 16th December. 16th December was right before, within 24 hours before the landfalls. And then the system actually make a landfalls and weakens, but as you can see clearly here, when it passed through the Peninsular Malaysia, somewhere near the Strait of Malacca, so the system actually intensified. And then the intensifications basically caused a lot of problems towards the western coast of Peninsular Malaysia. So what I have here is, it's essentially a maps animation that was constructed by looking at the moisture flux. These two basically the same, except the one on the right is essentially taking the vertical integrations from the surface up to the top of the atmospheres. As you can see, if you pay attention to the west coast, east coast Peninsular Malaysia here, so you can see here the westward moving systems basically converging all the moistures towards the west coast. And by about 16th to 17th December, so you can see there's actually incoming westerly moisture flux from the Indian Oceans. So we hypothesize that it is actually the convergence of these two systems that basically re-intensified the vorticities over the Strait of Malacca, and then converge most of the moistures towards the west coast of Peninsula. Right, so this is a clearer pictures which shows you the same vertically integrated moisture flux, which was taken on the 16th. All right, so this at this point of time, you can see the moisture conversion is mainly concentrated over the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia, and therefore this is basically a result of the direct impingements of the tropical systems circulations. And then on the 18th, basically, you can see there is small vortexes that converge most of the moistures coming in from the northern part of the Strait of Malacca towards the western coast of Peninsular Malaysia. So that is basically the two time periods where the highest intensity of rainfall was received. So what we do here next is to look at, because we hypothesize that most of the moisture is basically coming in from the western part of the eastern part of in Indian Ocean. So what we do here, we do a cross sections and then look at the vertical distributions of the moistures. As you can see here, most of the low level moistures are concentrated basically towards the western side of the domain. So this is Sumatra. So therefore, this area is eastern Indian Oceans. So you can see the moisture supply is basically largely from the Indian Oceans, which then fuel the tropical depressions, re-intensify it, and then draw most of the moisture toward the western coast. So in order to verify that hypothesis, we did a very simple numerical experiment using the WAF and set up this. In fact, at the moment we are still working on experiments, but we have some preliminary result here to show. So these are the 3 domains that we use. So the inner one has resolutions of 3 kilometers. These are basically the physical schemes that has been used. But for the inner domain, we essentially close the cumulative schemes. And we do the simulation starting from 0 UTC 16 December. So that is essentially the time when the East Coast Peninsular Malaysia were receiving the largest amount of rainfalls. And then we allowed for several days of simulations in order to get the results. So we did two simulations. The first one is our control runs, which use these schemes. And we run another experiment In that experiment, essentially what we do here is we basically reduce the water vapors coming in from the western boundaries because we want to verify, how important are those water vapors to formation of the systems. So as you can see here, for the simulations, basically, here what we have here is actually the blue one is actually the station's rainfalls observations, and then the red one is essentially coming out from our simulations. As you can see here, the variation is almost correct, right? Apart that some of the, for example, here the simulation tends to produce slightly more rainfalls than the other, but generally the variation is there. So what is shown here is essentially the 3 days accumulated rainfalls, okay, from the 16th to 18th December. So this is a spatial map of the accumulated rainfall from the control runs. And then we take the control runs and we minus the accumulated rainfall fields from our experiment, which is, we have 50% reductions of moistures from the western boundary conditions. So this is essentially what we see. So therefore, you see a very, very strong contrast, northern contrast. In the northern part here, you see, very close to the rainfall center, you see positive numbers. And south of that, you see the negative numbers. So at least, from the experiment, so we know that the moistures from the western boundary is essentially important in set out the system, at least from the perspective of controlling the positions of the rainfall, the heavy rainfall center, and as well as the intensity of the rainfalls. Okay. So, as I mentioned, most of the extremes, very heavy rainfall events in Malaysia happens in associations to La Nina events. So, during these are the sea surface temperatures anomalies, which was recorded from November to December, which is a month before the heavy rainfall events. You can see the patterns here. The sea surface temperature pattern actually signifies the La Nina patterns. So we were basically experiencing during that times a weak to moderate La Nina. And if you look at this map here, so this is basically from our study carried out a couple of years back. So these are basically you can think of this as the the composites of R50 mm. So this is basically you can think of it as the chances of frequencies of heavy rainfalls during the strong La Nina, during the moderate La Nina, during the weak La Nina. As you can see, during the moderate La Nina, most of the regions over the peninsula of Malaysia has a higher chance of receiving heavy rainfalls. So therefore, we hypothesize as well, one of the potential contributing factors to the heavy rainfall that happened last year could be due to the La Nina modulations, where if you look at the sea surface temperatures over the South China Sea is essentially anomalously warmer compared to normal years. So therefore, it has a capability to provide more moisture to fuel that systems. And also over the long-term periods, in a climate change time scale. So over the last couple of decades, we also noticed that there is an increase of heavy rainfalls over the Klang Valley. So the Klang Valley is essentially, surrounding the Kuala Lumpur areas. So we see, especially in the center of the cities, the rainfall that has been received has increasing trends over the years. So this is my last slide. So basically, we see there is the flood producing heavy rainfall events last year was basically caused by a very strong large scale environmental forcings. So where it is essentially associated to the westward propagating the Broadway vortex. So over the eastern coast, we see the heavy rainfall is mainly the interactions of the vortex north quadrant circulations with the coastal areas, which cause the convergence of moistures. And then over the West Coast, basically, this is something that caught us in surprise because usually in December, West Coast is essentially a dry seasons. So rarely we see any rainfall events over the West Coast during the December. But this time, it appears that the environment is slightly different. And then the Borneo vortex, when it propagates across Peninsular Malaysia, it intensified, potentially due to controls coming over from the eastern part of Indian Oceans. I think this has some implication because the local authority usually, when they monitor events such as this, so they will always refer to the South China Seas. So they're always looking from the winds and systems that happens in the South China Sea. But at least, and in this case, at least, so it says something about, there is a potential influence coming in from the Indian Ocean. So in the futures, maybe for the authority for monitoring, so they have to pay a little bit more attention towards the Indian Ocean as well, right? So basically, that's the last slides I have.
Thank you so much, Junan, for the detailed analysis of the recent flood case in Malaysia. I think because of the time, I think we should move on to the next talk. And we could have more discussion in the next session. Yeah. So Professor Murata, please share your slides. Hello, Ken.
I'm sorry. Okay,
yeah.
Let me share. Something is wrong with my computer. I'm sorry. Wait a moment.
Okay. So any quick question to Professor Liew about the case study in Malaysia? A very short one.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I have a question about the Indian dipole. You mean that at the end of your conclusion, you maybe have to pay more attention to that?
Not really the Indian dipole, but what we see is actually there's a streams of moistures coming in from the Indian Oceans that interact with the existing systems that we have over the Peninsular Malaysia. What I'm suggesting is that, from the weather timescale perspective, there might be a need to look at the Indian Ocean's circulation, not necessarily the Indian Ocean dipole. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, Professor Murata.
Okay, let me start. Good morning. My name is Ken Murata from Japan. And,
Ken, you need to share again. You stop sharing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for introduction. Today's my talk is novel techniques for disaster mitigation using meteorological satellite long-path network and visual IoT. So let me skip these pictures that we are living in a very disaster-prone area in East Asia, and there are many disasters every year, and rainfall is still the intensity of rainfall is still increasing like this. Even in last year in Japan, there was a very big landslide. And so this is my, picture of to propose you a concept of natural disaster mitigation monitoring using the satellite and camera system and IoT network sensors. These are the sensors or satellites installed in the real world in physical space. The data, all of the data are transferred to the cyberspace cloud system to be analyzed. And then JGN APAN network plays very important role to connect between the area countries in real world to the cyberspace in Japan and other countries. And today I'd like to discuss two topics. One is the meteorological satellite Himawari data sharing using a high-speed data transfer technique. The other one is visual IoT techniques to monitor the urban and rural areas. So let me start with Himawari data sharing. This is a graph to show the history of the disasters, the number of the dead people in Japan caused by the large-scale disasters. And after the 1960, the number is decreasing, except for the very big earthquake. The reason of this decreasing is they say that the reason is due to the very rich information on the medias like newspaper, TV, internet, especially when the large-scale typhoon comes. And the number of the typhoon did not change a lot. So the reason of the number of the deaths is not the scale of the typhoon decreasing. And Himawari 8 is launched in 2014, and then the JMA started to operate this data next year. And what is very important point in this Himawari 8 new satellite is that the data size became 50 times larger than the previous satellite. It is so-called third generation meteorological satellite. And we have already developed a system to transfer the data from Himawari cloud operated by JMA to our cloud system. And using the parallel visualization technique, every day we are creating so-called pyramid tile images. And the pyramid tile images are provided to the users over our application named Himawari Real Time. And this is a picture of the Himawari Real Time. There are several advantages to the similar applications, but the most important one is that this is almost real time. And in case of this full disk image, time delay after the detection of the image by the satellite is only 30 minutes. And in case of Japan area, it is only within 10 minutes. And this is a Tonga volcano eruption case. And in Japan, this is NICT. So the several TV news used my application in these newses, and also TV newses. And another usage of this application is online news like this or this or this. And this picture, this movie, you have already, they have already shown. So maybe you have ever seen this many times. But anyway, we could monitor the development of this eruption in almost real time on my application. This is an application on the web browser, but also we have already released a smartphone application on Android and iPhone, right? iOS. You can search for this free application and then search for this application with a keyword of we have already developing several applications based on this theory. One example, every 6 hours, overlaying this like this already. And I have already translated this application
Hello, Ken.
Yes.
Yeah. We almost lost your voice. Now it's better. Yeah.
Please
okay. Go on.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. And we have already, how to say, made a progress of this HIMARI real-time application to overlay on the GIS tool, including not only the satellite image, but also the temperature, humidity, solar radiation, and other informations, which is available on this website. And now the QGIS application is almost ready. Maybe we will release it within this month. But the number of the users of the this application is increasing step by step, and half of the users are from outside country. However, for example, the access from Philippines in case of the big typhoon in 2019 was still only 600. And another case, the access from Taiwan on this typhoon is only 400. So, and the number is increasing, but still not enough. So we are using, we have already developed a system based on the JGN global networks and the APAN network as shown here. And using this JGN or APAN network, we have already set up 3 mirror servers, NICT and ASTI in Philippines, NICT in Thailand, and SGC in Taiwan. And every 10 minutes, we transfer the real-time image data to these servers. So the users in these countries are able to access to their local server instead of accessing to the Japanese server. And then the access speed is much higher, so more convenient for these 3 countries' citizens. And for that purpose, high-speed data transfer is very important. So we develop HPFP protocol to transfer the data over the global network. And the performance is very good. As you can see, the orange line shows the HPFP throughput, and the green, blue line, normal TCP throughput. This is a 24 hours data graph. And then the throughput is much better during the afternoon period when the packet loss ratio is very high. When because of the congestion, the packet loss increases during this period, and the TCP shows this degradation. However, instead of this degradation, HPFP shows much better performance, and we could achieve as fast as, for example, 1 giga BPS like this, and the TCP only 400 gigabps. And another our work is to develop a VLAN network, virtual VPN network between NICT and NICT, SGC, and ASTI. We have already developed a VLAN between NICT, SGC. So it is much better to share the real-time data of HIMARI. And in this case, what is good is that the researchers in each country are able to download the data from real-time data from this mirror server. As for the archive data, you download from our NICT original server. And what is another good point is that we have already developed a Windows application, which is much user-friendly than the Linux application. So you can download the HIMARI data using this GUI tool. This is very recent news that data mover challenge in SC Asia 2022 was held, and I belong to the team Musashino, this one, and fortunately we could get on this award, most innovative and best IPv6 performance award. And in this case, what is interesting is that we transfer the data between one point to the other point using 100 gigabps network. And our results shows that in many cases, we could achieve about more than faster than 10 gigabps, especially between this one, between Australia and Japan. We were able to achieve 100 gigabps data file transfer, not throughput, just this is a data file transfer. And another talk is about visual IoT. Maybe I don't have much time. Maybe I will introduce it briefly.
Yeah, thank you. Don't worry about the time. Yes.
Time, okay, okay. So, and visual IoT is a concept of the one part of IoT, one branch of IoT using camera system. And we propose 3 types of visual IoT system: bird's eye, insect eye, and fish eye. And the bird's eye, as for the okay, this is a concept of visual IoT, and we deploy many cameras in the societies to monitor the power plant, transportation, airport, river, and the volcano, and something. And all data are transferred over the mobile network to the cloud system. And occasionally, edge computer will process real-time data. But basically, all of the data are saved on the cloud system. Using GPU server, you perform AI deep learning program to detect something. This is a concept. Now we have already developed this whole system and transmission computer and receiving computer, IP camera. This is a commercial camera and a mobile network relay server. And the data are stored on the cloud server, and the GPU computer will process the data. So let me show you one example in one project, Chikuma and project ongoing in Chikuma City in Nagano Prefecture in Japan. We installed many cameras and sensors in this city. The size is 1 kilometer by 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer. So this is not very big city, but we install many cameras like this. And this is almost real time. I took this picture 1 hour, 1.5 ago. And then, you know, here, this is one example that you are able to detect the snowfall. And this is the target area. And then you can count the number of the snowfall or snowflake, as you can see. This is the insect eye technique. Another example is a bird's eye. Bird's eye is the bird's eye camera is installed at the top of the mountain or high positions, and then you know. Oh, I'm sorry. And using our techniques, because our protocol, video transfer protocol is a very low latency protocol, it is possible to operate the punch root zoom of the camera from your laboratory. So it is possible to control. You can focus on any places as you like, as shown here in this movie. And this is one example of this punch root zoom technique. This is a view from this Chikuma and bird's eye camera, and now car is running. And you are interested in this park, and you first click here to centralize the position, and next you zoom in like this. This is zoom level. So zoom level changes from 0.1 to 0.4, and you get the better view. And you are also interested in this pole, this light. And again, you centralize this one and zoom in to get the much better view. So in this case, the ratio is 25 times. But anyway, using this technique, you are able to monitor any area in your city. Another example is the volcano monitoring. Volcano monitoring, we install the solar power system with this camera, and this is volcano. And the solar power and ethanol battery. And we are already installed this one to get this type of the volcano monitoring in real time. This is not real time view, but almost real time on web application. You can get this view every day. And using optical flow analysis, you can visualize the location of the eruption or smoke moving, in this case, to the right side. And also, this technique is, there are another technique using deep thought. In this case, we detect the car moving like this. And since the deep thought is able to trace the moving object, you can get the velocity and the number of the car, position of the car, and the velocity of the car. So you can get this kind of graph every day. That, for example, this is whole day traffic to right side and to left side. So this is all my talk, and maybe let me summarize my talk. I think I have already developing several applications using Himawari data and also visual IoT system like this. And what is interesting is that we have already developed a very large, wide area VLAN network between Japanese universities, including NICT, to share the computer resources and the storage system. And now we have a plan to connect this VLAN with the previous VLAN connected to the NICT or SGC. And finally, you are able to access to the data on this very big size cloud system to analyze the data or use a GPU server or supercomputer from your country. So if you are interested in, do not hesitate to access to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ken. Any question? Any comment? Yeah, it's a very excellent introduction to many advanced technology from IoT, data transmission, the Earth observation, and also visualization, etc. Yeah. So if there is any question or comment, maybe we can discuss with all speakers in the next one, in the next section. Yes, Basuki, yes, please.
Ken, it's very nice to see your progress, your work. And may I know how much the speed when you put the camera and some microcontroller module and then send every, maybe, I don't know, every hour or every 5 minutes?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Are you talking about the camera system?
Yeah. In the camera system that you put the CCTV camera and then you put the Raspberry, if I'm not mistaken, and then you.
I don't use CCTV camera. I use IP camera.
IP camera. I mean IP camera. Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
And with Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi. Yeah. You send the picture every minute in the stream mode, or just capture like a JPEG in the JPEG mode? Or
you can make a choice. One idea is to get a real-time video transfer, streaming actually from here to here. Another technique, another way is to transfer the movie file or image file from the camera location to your cloud system. So you can make a choice.
So basically, I mean, like in the mountain that you observed in some, and near the in the mountain, and then that's the data is sent every minute
to cloud system. Yeah, every minute or every second or something.
Okay.
And if you do the real-time streaming, of course, this is better, but since we are using a mobile network, it costs a lot.
Yeah.
In order to save money, you need to make a choice of the data transfer. And in this case, we often use a movie file or image file transfer.
Yeah. How much data that you collect every hours? The size.
In Japan, we have a special company. We collaborate with a special company, and they provide us about $50 every month to transfer 500 gigabyte data.
Oh, okay.
So 500 is enough to get important information.
500 gigabyte per month.
Gigabyte per month by 50 US dollars.
50, yeah. Okay, I think it's per node.
Per node, yeah.
Okay. Okay, confirm. Thank you.
Okay. If there is any question, I think we could have some time in next session. So before the break, two things. Please, all speakers, send me your slides. The second thing is about photo taking. So please turn on your video, turn on your camera. Okay. Anyone? 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. So we can have about a 20-minute break. So see you at 11. Thank you so much. See you later.
See you later.
Hello, welcome back. So in the second session, Tsai, you are the first speaker.
Okay, I can share mine now. So,
and I think you try to cover 2 topics, right?
Right. So it's not gonna take that long time. So we have time for the discussion.
Yes, no problem. Yeah. And the next speaker will be NICT from ASTI. So Tsai, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yes, it will cover, as Eric said, 2 topics, the fire and smoke and the hydro-informatics data center. So I will go not quickly, but try to cover everything. You can see that here I also put the tyrant here in my slides at the beginning, asking Dr. Panchai permission already. He stopped by, but he's not here anymore. But we think that everything that joy in APAN that coming out from Thailand, like NICT with the Cherlermpon and everybody that joy Uninet should go out as a tyrant. So we are one. So much easier to be like that. Okay, that's why I asked the permission to put the tyrant's logo here as well. So I'm from Hydro-Informatics Institute, and also a researcher, just like without pay, from the Upper ASEAN Wildland Fire Special Research Unit, which we have intention that as Malaysia or as Indonesia, Professor Bambang as Bandung as Bogor University got the funding, full funding from German government, but not us. I asked him many years, and he said his responsibility is only for the peat fires. So we need to try to cover upper ASEAN part, even though we have less fires, less smoke, but we better understand it up here as well, and then to get information for the better management. So part of this, I use this, it's called overview of the current situation, some solution suggestion and challenges. And I will introduce the ASEAN Hydro-Informatics Data Center that already transferred from Thailand, Dr. Suthat from HII chairmanship to Singapore. Okay, we'll talk about that later. This is just to see that the upper ASEAN part that we would like to pay focus on, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia, and Cambodia. So most of the time that we have problem is up north with the valley. So we also have the valley effect up north in Thailand, northern Thailand, that always cause the problem. And this month, March, is the time. Okay, the time for the fire and smoke revisiting is an annual event that happen all the time. Our peat fire in the southern Thailand have also occurring at the same time with the Indonesia one, but lately with the that's why I'm asking Professor Liew that the how about the Indian dipole effect on the precipitation, because that's play very crucial for the peat fire, crucial factor lately since 2020-21 in this year. Hopefully gonna be more rain, then it's gonna be less fire in Indonesia or even in Malaysia as well. So but Thailand, we have the problem with this valley effect that happened up in the north. So it look like this in the this is Chiang Mai, this is Pai, the famous tourist destination, also a valley. Just want to show that we also have this kind of effect too when consider with the forest fire and the smoke movement. Okay, this is just a description that the highest is not that very high, 2,565 up north, and then with the valley we have the thermal or like a temperature and subsidence inversion effect during dry season, especially in March, with mixing height that measure by LiDAR equipment. Only one though. Unfortunately, we have one. It's average for this month is only 500 meters. So the mixing height is very low in this month. So when you have many fire, it causes a lot of smoke, a lot of smoke problem. And we also have the many fires in Myanmar and in Laos, which we don't really know that the smoke from those is a transboundary come over to Thailand or not. Because when we're doing the simulation with the WAF cam, the grid is not well. You can see that in the regional perspective, okay, but then you look down to this different valley, because it's just so small, we don't have a good enough resolution to explain. So that's why I asked Professor Lin to help. But he's very busy, so we'll see how it goes. And then there's an indigenous tribe up in the mountain, many, and they use fire for their clubs, location club practice. And we also have this deciduous forest abundance up in the north. And this another problem in maybe a decade or over a decade ago with the maize plantation for the animal feed industry, that the big company CP working on this animal feed industry, which is expand from Thailand to Myanmar, Laos, and lately heard that Cambodia. So it's also the problem that when they clear this field, which most of the time in the forest illegally, they burn because it's easy for them. And the changing from chip cultivation to rotation crop practice will help a lot. But still, we still have a little bit of chip cultivation in the area. But the northern Laos, is common there, okay, or Cambodia is common there. With the discussion with the forester in Myanmar, in Laos, and in Cambodia, they're thinking that they don't have enough force to enforce the law. So they know that people burn in the forest, but they couldn't do anything until they change or they have enough budget on manpower, then they can do it. But then you create, like here that I highlight, the cost is so many. But we have hunting now in Thailand and non-timber products gathering that cause the forest fire, and then the smoke, a lot of smoke coming out. But the problem is that the conflicts. If you try to catch them or enforce the law, then you have conflicts, and it's a problem, okay? Because with this conflict, when they light the fire, they light a lot, many long, like a few kilometers long. They use motorcycle and then just light it up, which very difficult to control. And then, of course, we have this smoke haze transboundary problem in ASEAN, as you know. Okay, so with the WAF cam, we don't have a good enough supercomputer yet to use, and then you'll see. So the best we can do, I heard that we using NICT computer at the pollution control department can run to 9-kilometer grade and then down to 3 kilometers this year. But of course you have to pay, which I don't know that they have enough budget for that or not. So this is the overview of the region with the 22 years of the data of the burn area with the MODIS sensor on the Terra and Aqua satellite. So you can see that the area on the western Thailand or eastern Myanmar, there's burning a lot. And of course, Cambodia, a lot. Okay, but I have a chance to teach forester from Cambodia. They said that just common practice for agriculture in the forest area. So it's quite, and then they couldn't do much because people need food, need income, and so they couldn't do anything much about it. And then we zoom in, we'll see the area that in the purple, this one is a tool, easy to call Earth Map by FAO, which is under the Open Forest program that they're doing RED++ to do the carbon reference. So you can use this tool much easier. You don't have to build any system. You can zoom, you can upload your shape file into the system and calculate simple. This is not really correct because you need the validation on the ground, but this MODIS burn area never really validate on the ground or in the field. They're using ASTI, which is on the high resolution sensor by NASA and Japan, JAXA, to do this. It's a 15-meter resolution on Terra, which is like almost 25 years old already. So it will be gone soon. Okay, you can see the trend, and you can plot this using the Global Fire Earth Engine tool, which is very easy to use, and from different fire emission databases, you can plot this to see the trend. Okay, so they are calculated differently. For example, this one from Guido Valdewa from Netherlands is working for NASA. So this is like we use Google engine to plot it. And also this wheel, fire camps. You can compare for this example, fire emission database in this world, the main one. So including the fin, that the one, this one that they use in WAF-Chem, which you can tell that much higher than other. But then again, you need field validation to really know what's going on in those particular area that you're looking at. So I'll tell you more that I try to propose King College University, Professor Worcester, to use his equipment to collect field smoke from the field during the fire season in Thailand. He done that in Indonesia already through Pak Bambang collaboration. So, and he considered it, and we'll see how it go. For this year, cannot do it, maybe perhaps next year. This is 5 of the, to show for only Thailand, but when you plot it, you can see that 5 database that we can look and see the trend. The number might be different, but the trend are the same. So you know what is going on. And you can tell that for Thailand, if you plot it, you see that this month, March is the peak, okay, from the 22 years satellite data. Okay, it's similar for different countries. You have different different graph. This is the average of the 22 years burn area. So you see Myanmar also March, but Laos is March and April. Then Cambodia is January and February. Okay, so it's different. Vietnam is in March as well. So generally in Upper ASEAN, in March is the very we can call it the peak month for the fire season in Upper ASEAN, except for Cambodia, because Cambodia is lower, so the field in this region dry from the south to the north. So Cambodia dry, the field getting dry first. That's why they burn. Okay, in January and February more. Okay, there's some policy that they already use, but not very effective. It's a no burning period or no burning policy. Many countries are doing this. Cambodia have it. Indonesia, I think Indonesia have it first. Cambodia have it. Laos this year, last year also announced it. I happen to be, I have a chance to read the announcement before they do it, because they're asking for the opinion from the forest department. So I know that they're doing it, but be effective or not, we really don't know. Okay, because the fire, the number of active fire detected or the burn area also depend on the precipitation amount of the previous year and the current year. Like this year with the La Nina effect, and then both I asked Met Malaysia and DMWG of Indonesia that we have this forecast for the La Nina and more rain in Thailand or in Upper ASEAN, and they also confirmed that they also have the similar result of the forecast. So expect to have less peat fire this year as well. But we'll see, we never know, okay, because of the climate change. When the Professor Liew run the model, he knows that the climate change effects. We need to understand more in order to really get the forecast more accurate. Okay, we use the single command, we use the military support, strong law enforcement, many things. A lot of research funding already up north in the Chiang Mai University. And we have so many mobile applications to access the active fire data from NASA. Even they already have it, but Thai people, we love applications. So many, okay, at different universities, different funding, we pull the data from NASA firms and plot it in the application. So it's sometimes very confusing because of the internet connection. You can load faster, or you can download the active fire information from NASA faster, so you claim that your application is better, but they are from the same server. So it's just like well, it's just the way it is, I guess. And then we try to do this prescribed burning practice more and more, but still have a lot of conflicts, because the urban people, they don't want to see smoke. So doing this prescribed burning is not in their favor. But to deal with the local people which would need to use fire to prepare their fuel, they need to use it, or to fuel management to prevent the big fire in the forest, we need to use it. But in Thailand, we still have conflicts, misunderstanding or whatsoever, that we need to really talk about this prescribed burning method. But in the US, in Europe, in Australia, they all agree and say that they need to do more and more. But with the combination with the indigenous knowledge, like they call it the cool burn, the Aboriginal people have been doing it for 10,000 years, and American Indian have been doing it also, and they never have a mega fire. But now we have mega fire almost every year now, which is because we didn't do this prescribed burning technique correctly. So we need to, hopefully in Thailand, we can agree upon this and get the system in and practice and have everything in place before we have a mega fire. Okay, so this, we can change it with the HII work. We can change this monoculture to this agroforestry, or so-called in our king concept, so-called tree forest type and full benefit, which is the same with the agroforestry, but just change it to fit what Thailand is doing. And then we have the excuse me,
yeah, please mute your
Sajen,
तब से 1 साल से क्या कर रहे थे?
सर आप पता क्या हम आपको बताते हैं
Sajen Basao,
जो वो
Ernet
पार्लियामेंट
from
लोकसभा चला गया
India.
ना, तो अब इनका हो रहा है इनको 14 तारीख से फिर से पार्लियामेंट शुरू है, तो हम फिर लिख देते कि हमारे को फंड नहीं आ रहा, तो उनको वही रिक्वेस्ट आया कि नहीं इसको जल्दी करा दो करके, इसलिए हम पे हमारे साथ बराबर जल्दी हमारे पे बोल देंगे ना हमने फंड दे दिया, तो भैया हमें तो अब दिया तो हम स्टार्ट कर देंगे, हम तो कह रहे थे जल्दी में हम अपनी तरफ पूरी कोशिश।
Oh well, I continue that you can read. So we try to push the Clean Air Act also as well, that we hope that we can manage smoke better. But we'll see, because in the Clean Air Act that we're trying to push also have not balance of the favor, because it favor the urban area people more.
उन्होंने इनको बोल दिया था कि आप फंड देंगे, because मिनिस्ट्री डायरेक्ट फंड नहीं देती, तो इन्होंने वो बोल दिया था
can we mute her? I think we cannot.
The host should be mute.
But I don't know how.
Maybe taken for 500 rupees. हम क्यों करें, वो करें?
वो करके हम भी कर लेंगे.
No, I mean from the APAN.
Generally MOU मैंने देख लिया था.
The APAN can do it.
Yeah.
कमिश्नर करेगा तो सर.
I cannot.
मैं कहा आप चलेंगे. तो कह रहे थे.
Sanjeev.
हम ऑथराइज कर देंगे किसी.
हाँ वो तो रजिस्टर करते हैं सर.
Okay. Anyway, it's fine. Okay. So with this, and then we also have this national forest restoration in place, but it's not easy to implement.
तो तब से 1 साल से क्या कर रहे थे?
सर हम तो चिट्ठियां भेज ही रहे थे, मैं तो बुनवेश्वर से चिट्ठी लिखवाई थी.
No, it's quite difficult to talk.
अब मैंने दोबारा सर एक बहुत अच्छी चिट्ठी लिखी.
How can we inform her?
तीसरा नाम तो है नहीं इनका मिनिस्ट्री का.
नहीं सर मिनिस्ट्री के लिए
the host, the APAN secretary.
सर हमारे और इनके बीच में मिनिस्टर हमारे.
नहीं तो वो ओरिजिनल लेटर कहाँ है जिसमें हमको ये बोला गया था कि भाई आप
Sanjeev,
ये कीजिए.
Thank you.
Please mute. Okay, yeah. All right, thank you. Okay. Sorry. So the what HII trying to do is we're doing the community water management, which can combine into this community fire management, and we can increase the moisture hopefully in the forest. So when we have moisture more, then we have less fire. It's not easy for the forest to get ignited in the forest. And we also have this food distribution, so people, they don't need to get income during the dry season from the forest, non-timber product collection, so they ignite fire less. Last year was good. This year they try again, but last year with the La Nina, a lot of rain. So we don't know that is it really effective or not. So we have to keep doing it, and we'll see what's going on. And then we have a new law, forest law in place two years ago. So we will see that this year it can implement and get better or not. And also we have this National Committee for Land Right for the people, that we give the land right to the people. But if they caught burning, this is useful in the South. If you caught burning, you will not get this land right. So people are afraid of it. So we will see that it's working or not. But so far this year, this March, last week, a couple of fires, well, a few fires came up, and then it went up to the Prime Minister, to the military people, to many big people. So it's a bit of chaos last week about for the fire up in northern Thailand. But we'll see, because it's not in, they call it for the fight 10 rounds, let's say 10, 12 rounds of fighting. This is just the first round. So we'll see that they will have enough resources when the dry season go on. It's usually late March, we'll have many fires up in northern Thailand. And like I said, this community-based fire water management will help. Hopefully, we'll practice this more and more. I try to propose this because they are separate, community-based fire management, community-based water management. Why don't we combine them all together? Then we'll see how it works. And okay, this is just to explain what it is. So it's just like the main problem is the income to the local people. The water resource management tend to have provide more income to the people. In order to sustain it, you need income. Okay, if you don't have enough income, or like show me the money, people will go back to the same habit. Okay, so you need to do that. And we aim for the sustainability and adaptability of climate change. We will come. You read in the news, UNEP, UN, whatsoever report, they're saying everything will get more severe, more intense. Okay, the typhoon will get higher intensity, rainfall, higher intensity in rainfall, fire will have higher intensity. Okay, like now it's going on in Japan and in Korea. Korean said, in South Korea said that the 1,000 hectare is a national, when the fire burning, forest fire burning for 1,000 hectare is a national action. But yesterday it's already 6,000 hectare, okay, in South Korea. And the bigger one, I think bigger one in near Fukuoka, okay, I don't know, but we'll see. Is the fire happen more and more? Okay, this is just a rule of law, for example, that we Hydro-Informatics Institute and then the Utokpat Foundation working with the local people to make a sustainable community. Okay, so this is example also. Okay, this is the thing that they need to do slowly, and with this. Well, it's also another project that have been, this is the conclusion, you can read it later. And the IoT, like Ken just, this is with the Dr. Panchai project that I get involved with the local community. Now we try to install the IoT system of the low cost air quality in the village. This is up in the mountain. And then we get the local people involved, and the initiate project is funded for AIT to Professor Kanjana for the Southeast Asia monitoring, Haze monitoring project from Asia Connect. So this is the 5 location that the local people install this low cost sensor up in the mountain, on the mountain range, to detect the smoke before the fire comes, so they know the fire come. But then we are thinking about this, putting the camera like what Ken doing up there as well, because it take some location, it take like half an hour with the fast motorcycle to go up there and look where the smoke come from. So we're thinking that using this IP camera, which is Dr. Panchai is testing, to send them and put into this system, so we know which direction fire come from. Not only know that, okay, the smoke is getting high, the bad air quality. And this, believe it or not, because it's during COVID, the local people build this on their own. We just send them the equipment and they assembly by their own, okay? And this is the Southeast Asia Mont Hay system, Canarin system that provided, I don't remember, sorry, the University from France to Dr. Kanjana connection. So this you can look and just to see, okay. And also Basuki, you got 12 of them, but show up only 1 or 2 in Indonesia. So please, Basuki, get them up, please. And we have working with Philippines and Laos and Thailand. So we have this network running under Tian. And like I said, I'm asking Professor Worcester from King College to come over to Thailand. He went to Indonesia to measure this smoke composite or whatever from the fire. So at least, and finally we can have this data, and then his equipment can measure down to the emission factor for each species, which will be good for improve the model WAFCAM when you're running it. So hopefully, he said he interesting, but have to use a lot of funding for them to come to Thailand, and we'll see. I don't know that they will come or not, but he said at the beginning, initial talk, he said yes. Okay, we'll see about that next year, I guess. So for the suggestion of the dose, we think that first we develop an effective management system with the rule regulation and restriction will help. Building a good network of knowledge sharing, like what we are doing now, a lesson learned and the best practice to exchange. Then we learn more, like case study, and understand and manage better. And we need to find this simple, easy and simpler communication schema. We try with the Hydro-Informatics data center ASEAN last year. It seemed okay, but then again, it's not easy to communicate because in each countries, they're using different mean. But we select Facebook, I think, and then the WhatsApp, but still not many exchange during the typhoon season. We try for 3 months, I think. Not many information exchange, but we have to keep pushing. So maybe because the typhoon is not that big, so it's not many information exchange. So we have to raise the public awareness. This community-based thing need to really get into that direction, and you need to understand the timing of burning, because different area they have different kind of fuel characteristics, and the local people might think differently in order to burn. Okay. And socioeconomics and the conflict factor are also very important and very difficult. I have been discussed with the California fire people. It took them for the prescribed burning system to be in place. It took them for the communication with all levels 30 years to get understanding on the same page. Okay, so we are a long way to go, but we need to really, engage and talk and make understanding. Then we need to integrate the indigenous knowledge into our knowledge now, because they have been doing for so long with no problem. But when we change to this our modern stuff, we create more problems. So we need to look back and understand their wisdom, in the indigenous wisdom. So hopefully that we can manage better. And then this collaboration that we're having, the internationally, we have to strengthen them, and more. It's difficult now when we talk about this. That's why with the open and sharing data working group, hopefully most of you can join on Wednesday. That's the problem that we face. Okay, that's why we had the group. You know, easy to say, but in the time to do it, like when a tsunami happened, when the typhoon hit, very difficult to exchange the data in near real time or real time to deal with the problem in that period, not the after that. After that, okay, good, we understand more. But during the time of the event as well, that we need to exchange the data or information so we can help each other and understand how to deal or manage that particular event. Like for tsunami, for example, we need to know many information from different sources, but that seemed to be not easy, okay, not easy to exchange. So that also the problem. Having a cloud-based system for all, okay. So just the news to say, this is the news that I wrote in the Bangkok Post. And it said that when you compare the data, you compare with the similar climate, I mean pattern, not compare like dry climate with the wet year like La Nina with El Nino. So it's have to compare La Nina and La Nina year, El Nino with El Nino year, just that, okay, to understand, really understand what's going on. This is the challenge. You can have to get the same mindset. That's quite difficult, take time. And then the increase income to make people have enough income so that ignite fire less. And this holistic approach is the way to do the sustainability. Okay. Okay, this is nothing, thinking globally, act locally. Okay, it's the Indian saying, so it's just the way it is, I guess. And this is what we need to do. So about time, to don't want to spend too much time, then going to the ASEAN Hydro-Informatics data center that quickly that we have here for ASEAN is abbreviation is AHC. Okay, this is from, unfortunately, Brunei didn't join, so we only have 9. Okay, 9 countries. I tried to ask the people I know in Brunei to ask them to join, but it seemed that they don't have problem with this hydro or water problem, so they don't care to join. Okay, but anyway, so we based on this 3 pillars we agree upon, that we do knowledge sharing, we're doing the technology matching, so each country can exchange, and then we can do the capacity building. Each country can request what they need, and most of the time they would like to have the technology. So data science, they need that to have like the priority to know with the big data era or AI. So they need that training more. So this is the 5 things that we agree upon after a couple of years of the discussion. And this is the list of whatever that you can tell that this the technology part, they would like to have more and more, but because of the COVID and the funding, we don't have that many training, online training, or that many meeting yet. But Singapore, they have a lot of money. They said that now they are in the chairmanship for 2 years. They will have more workshop on this big data and data analytics and modeling. Okay, more and more for the member. And this is the plan. Okay, the update plan that we have been discussed last year, last December. That this is in the phase 1. We did that already with the knowledge sharing. We have like this 3 or 4 workshops, and then on this. But this technology matching and capacity building more we'll do during this 2022 until 2025. So we'll see that how much we can do, and hopefully we can have face-to-face workshop or meeting in Singapore sometime this year, hopefully. And the application, that's the theme that we intend to do later. So this is the expect outcomes that we agree upon for this regional collaboration and learning-based platform for the hydroinformatics. And that's why I asked Ken to help on this also with the Himawari, and he has been doing helping us a lot with the NICT support for this ASEAN hydroinformatics. So we're waiting for it, Ken, you know. And then the key scientific information, we try to have information at the Asia Hydroinformatics Center website to share, and the good practice information in the website so people can go in and look. And then not easy, quite difficult when you share the data. It's easy to talk about it, but when you get into the real data to share, then you have the restriction that like this data belong to this agency, that data belong to that agency, blah, blah, blah. So you need a lot of permissions. Then it's not very easy to in the real world to really use it, to really make it happen. So every time when we have any disaster happen, we have this issue coming up. So we'll need to talk more on Wednesday that how APAN can make it easier for everybody, you know, the pain points that we need to get over. I don't know, but we will try to get it this time to see that how we can follow, okay, and make it better, easier for everybody. This is the website. You can visit it, and you now is share the model result, the precipitation from Vietnam, the model result, and then from Thailand, from HII, and then Singapore, start sharing and updating every day in the website. And we had this online meeting, and then, this is not online, it's online trying to do the this collaboration for this last year, that the disaster, let's just say, period. So we do this, and then we agree upon some channel, like I said, Facebook and WhatsApp to exchange the data, and the website. So this we start the workshop for this in August, and then October and November. So during this, we also have the information exchange through those channels, different channels, to see that, and then here, the Himawari from Japan that NICT kindly support, and we'll see how we can use it more and more. And this is the three, I said, that the ASC website, WhatsApp group, and then Facebook page. Facebook page take care by Myanmar, WhatsApp, Thailand and Singapore, and ASC website will be Thailand and Singapore, that take care of these different channels, communication channel. So last but not least, I think this one, okay, not yet. The chairmanship now transferred to the chairman is Professor Law Wing Guan Adrian, to say, will be the chair for the next 2 years. And this Immen, that vice chair, will be the vice director of the math department in Vietnam. Okay, sorry, for another 2 years. And HII, even though have still their request to be continue to be the secretary for them. Okay. So this is the workshop they plan for next year, for this year, not next, this year. So we'll see how we can cover this, okay, in this year until next year workshop. So we plan to have 4 workshops this year under ASC and next year, okay. So it's going to be all online. This is the update for me, Eric. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Tsai, for the update of forest fire and also the ASEAN collaboration. If there are any quick questions.
Oh, one thing, sorry, one thing yes, I forgot to mention. Lexis in yes. German with the Stephen, because it's going to update in the ISGC, but maybe here they allow us to use their supercomputer to plot the maps and the graph that we got the data from ECMWF, but that will be more detailed in ISGC.
Okay.
Later.
Great.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Any question to Tsai? Yes.
No. Who's your partner in Indonesia except me?
None.
Bambang.
No, Bambang not Bambang. He is, like I said, he got the funding from the German government. So
no, because many sensor that I send, this is by his recommendation.
Oh,
so yeah, that's the there is one sensor up and down, and then because one of the problem when we send the sensor in the COVID, and then that's have a problem. Even sometimes it's very easy. Yeah, still we have a problem too.
Yeah, because the project is already over, but none up now. Only one in Kalimantan. I don't know. Another 11 of them gone somewhere.
No,
even in Bandung is not up. Basuki in
your
office.
Because there is 2 or 3 who broken. I've been reported.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
when we I mean up, there is no even the power is not up. So it is difficult, and then sometimes we didn't have some mechanism to when this send back.
Anyway, just if you could bring some of them up, like the one in Sumatra. I also asked Isra when he visit the site. I said bring it up, but he like no. He just went to Kalimantan last week. I also told him that hey, bring them up, but he's not saying. Maybe you can talk with him. It might be easier because you are in the same country.
Yeah, I think that's the problem when we have some equipment like this. Because so that the knowledge of many not many people know about this knowledge sometimes. Even we I have to make some coaching to them one by one, and then after that because when there is you connect to the network. It's
we try to do the NREN thing through APAN network. That's why it's nice to see that the Asia Connect funding can show this stuff. Just that.
That's the idea, because one of the problem is on the like at least like in Indonesia. Not so sophisticated to have some internet. Even it is very easy because when we thought that if we put in some university, it is they will be manage this sensor. There will be even in the Kalimantan, when Kalimantan is up, and then 3 or 4 days later is down. And then I asked from the Kalimantan, hey, what's happened? There's another problem in the network. I see.
That's the thing.
That's the problem. Even so you see that in Indonesia, even for the forest fire, this is the initiative is by ISRAN is more than 15 years. But you see not many sensor or not many equipment have been installed in some proper area. Even we know that the area burning is just only, I mean only, it's just not many area in this some part of Sumatra, some part of Kalimantan, and some part of Sulawesi.
Yeah, we have to keep pushing then.
Yeah,
that's
of course,
what we can
of
do.
course.
Only thing we
Yes,
can
yes,
do.
yes. That's so that's why we need some like the collaboration like this to encourage.
Maybe
people.
like I show you the model that Panjai have been doing up in the mountain range can help. But the problem is also again with the cost of the data transfer. Like Ken said, it's not that it's not easy and it's not cheap. But it's not the way to really get out of the problem. But if you don't need big information, you can use every half an hour. Himawari can transfer it for you for free, but very small package, very small package. Geostationary can do that, but we need more. The problem is that we need more, so we need to transfer data more. So it costs something. So we try to do LoLa in the forest. You can test it, it's good, but when you go to the forest, like it's not like a simulation or the thing that we test in town, in urban area is different. So we'll see more because we will install LoLa, the main one, the gateway in the forest. They plan the Kanchana team, our Adison team plan to do it in May. So we'll see. But then when the May come, it's going to be a rainy season coming in also. Is I don't know. So we'll see. It's just like it's not when you go into the field, it's not the same as your simulation. so
thank you.
We have to test it out. Yes.
Thank you. Many requirements and challenges has been mentioned in the previous discussions. Thank you, Tsai. And we still have 2 talks in this session, and then we can have more discussion afterwards. So according to the schedule, the next speaker will be presented from Nikki from ASTI. So Nikki, could you share your slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can share my slide. Just wait for a moment. Here, can you see my slides, sir?
Not yet.
Oh. Here, you can see my slide now, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay. Here, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm from the Asia, so it's afternoon on our side of the world. So I am Neyzielle Ronnie Cadiz, and I am going to talk about DOST-ASTI's disaster risk reduction efforts. So here, as Dr. De Leon said earlier, since 2008, disaster management has been one of the main areas supported by DOST-ASTI. So, sorry, what are you? Yeah, I'm so sorry. What part of the screen are you seeing? Are you seeing the slide for the DOST-ASTI, Doc Eric?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, sure. Thank you. So, DOST-ASTI's initiative include development and deployment of weather sensors. It also includes a platform where data from these sensors can be accessed in real time. So that's the Field Sensors website. We also have the establishment of a facility to support the storage and computing needs for the RRM initiatives. That's the core. I will talk about that more later. So we also provide critical Earth observation data for extreme weather and disaster events. And we also release AI or artificial intelligence-based maps for extreme weather events. So here, using DOST-ASTI's available infrastructure like Earth observation data, the weather sensors, the agency developed AI for mapping technology, as well as the geospatial research from other DOST projects, we could help the DRRM community or the disaster risk reduction management community in the Philippines for the as a support, so that they could potentially aid, or DOST ASTI could potentially aid in their DRRM decision making. So these projects all need the research, education, and government information network. We call that the PREGINET. So the PREGINET is the National Research and Education Network established in DOST ASTI. So here we have the PEDRA Center. The PEDRA Center currently operates the Filipino development satellites, which we call the Diwata 1 and Diwata 2. And we also have the ground receiving stations, which directly download images from other satellite subscriptions like ComSat, Cosmos SkyMed, Novasar, and all those other Earth observation satellites. And here we have the computing and the archiving research environment, or the core. So it is DOST ASTI's high performance computing and storage facility. It is the only national level HPC facility that is open to academic, research, and government institutions. It also serves as the central repository for all the generated data from the Philippine sensors or the field sensors. It will be taken in the next slide, which I will show later. So likewise, all the processing, computing, and storage activities of DATOS project run on the facility, so run on the core facility. So we have the DATOS project. So the DATOS project has also been generating flood impact maps activated immediately after the announcement of DOST ASTI's extreme weather forecast. So the team research, it employs the use of CNN, or the artificial intelligence, where we detect potentially flooded areas just during hazard events. So the flood situation maps generated every after extreme weather event are sent to the National DRRM Council of the Philippines. It is also sent to the Office of the Civil Defense, as well as the National Department of Science and Technology. So we also send these data sets to affected local government units to aid in their damage assessment forms. So we have weather sensors data through the Field Sensors website. So the website is www.fieldsensors.dost.gov.ph. So the hydromet data from the different field sensors, like the automated water level sensors, we have the automated rain gauges, we also have automated weather stations. They all provide visualization on the near real-time level of streams and rainfall on areas where the sensors are deployed. So currently, DOST ASTI has deployed over 2,000 of these sensors all around the Philippines. So these field sensors and data send data every 15 minutes through SMS or through text messages. And it also sends data through satellite network. So it is sent to a centralized server located here in the office of DOST ASTI. So these data are updated in near real time and are visualized in the field sensors website. So we also have the weather sensors data again for the sensors reading of weather monitoring. So in 2019, the DATOS project, or the DATOS, devised a more systematic approach in weather monitoring by automating the near real-time sensors data from DOST ASTI's field sensors. So in case of weather events, the data visualization of the estimated rainfall distribution in the past hour, or even in the past 3, 6, and 12 hours, based on the rainfall measurement by the automatic weather sensors and rain gauges, are posted in the social media platforms of DOST ASTI, as well as to the DATOS. And they are also sent to the relevant local government units. And here we have the space technology in DRRM. First is our speakers earlier have been talking about the Himawari satellite earlier. So the Himawari satellite is a Japanese geostationary weather satellite, and it has been used by the Philippine warning agencies for monitoring of weather events. So now Filipinos can have a faster access to near real-time satellite images from Himawari 8 satellite through DOST ASTI's mirror satellite. So we have Himawari.dost, Himawari.asti.dost.gov.ph. So we use the Himawari satellite, or at least the mirror satellite, to check the cloud cover in the Philippines, which is indicative of rainfall. And here, the DATOS project's provision of flood impact maps. So we have the continuous provision of flood extent and impact maps using satellite images during typhoon events. So the recent devastation of Odette PH, or Typhoon Rai, as you all know it for the international name, as well as the previous events like Typhoon Rolly, Typhoon Ulysses in 2020, has been our constant link with the National DRRM Council of the Philippines. So since 2018, DOST ASTI has been providing NDRRMC, or the National DRRM Council, with Earth observation data sets, initially in the form of flood impact and extent maps, to aid in the DRRM efforts of the country. So this coordination and cooperation is a continuing effort of DOST that seeks to provide assistance to the National DRRM Council as long as the data sets are available. So we also have efforts on the assessment of flood damage. So the areas in red were the potentially flooded areas in Cagayan, taken immediately after the devastation of Typhoons Rolly and Ulysses. So we employ artificial intelligence, or the use of the convolutional neural networks, yes, in processing satellite images to detect potentially flooded areas during hazard events. So these maps, okay, so these flood situation maps generated every after extreme weather events are sent to the same agencies to aid in their damage assessment efforts. So here's another one for the assessment for flood extent maps. This one is from the Novasar 1 satellite. So it is generated through the Novasar 1 satellite, where the Philippines has a 10% imaging share from Surrey Satellite Technologies, or SSTL, from the United Kingdom. So here is the most recent DRRM effort of the Pedro Center, which I told you earlier. It is during the onslaught of Typhoon Odette, or Typhoon Rai. So it shows the potentially flooded croplands and roads in Lobok, Bohol. Yeah, it's part of the Philippines. So approximately 113.2 hectares of land was flooded, with approximately 73.1 hectares of flooded cropland. So we could monitor those one using satellite images. So here's another satellite images or potentially flooded croplands and roads from PlanetScope satellite, which we have developed, or so which we have been getting the images from. So it's also from the Typhoon Odette, and it's set in Sipalay, Negros Occidental. This one is a side-by-side comparison of pre and post-typhoon images of Surigao City. The pre and post images are from the free sources, as well as from the commercial satellites of the Pedro Center. And it's another pre and post disaster image. This one is in Veerachai, Catanduanes. So we can potentially see the damaged properties, the houses, the crops, which can be observed from the satellite image compared from the pre-typhoon, which is on the left, left part. It's another side-by-side comparison of pre and post-typhoon images over the province of Cagayan. So you can see that the province of Cagayan in November 2020 2020 was flooded. So there was a severe flooding over the municipalities of Amulung and even the Alcala and Igig in Cagayan due to the continuous heavy rainfall the province have experienced. And here, you see that techniques like machine learning and artificial intelligence help enhance rapid response in in some disaster situations. So the timely ability of DOST ASTI to generate map information in a timely manner was crucial. So you can see in this slide that on the morning of September 2018, a portion of a mountain in Naga City, here's Naga City, Cebu, collapsed. So it covered at least 46 houses and it trapped dozens of residents under the rubble. So rescue operations had to be carefully executed as the rains in the area loosened the soil in some of the barangays. So there was a heavy equipment. So the heavy equipment from the responders were not enough. So the first thing that the DATOS project or the DATOS researchers did was to figure out where exactly the landslide occurred, because during the first day of the landslide event, there was literally no information from other agencies. So we had to generate our own maps using only Google Maps. So the team released the landslide delineation and building footprints map, which the responders used on the ground. So using these maps that we were able to send to the responders on the ground, it enabled the rescuers to prioritize the areas for search and rescue. So we are always happy to announce that when they used our maps, 6 people were rescued from the rubble on the third day of the weather event. So we also assess earthquake damage, or we have efforts in the assessment of earthquake damage and identifying the extent of landslide through advanced image processing techniques immediately after the event can potentially aid in the rapid damage assessment and response operations of the RRM on the ground. So these earthquakes are earthquakes from because of landslide. So we employed the change detection from vegetation to bare soil using satellite images. So our team was able to identify the extent of damages in Makilala, Cotabato. So this image was shared with the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or the PHIVOLCS, and even to the local government unit of Cotabato City. And we also assess forest fire damage, and we can assess this because forest fires can be checked using optical satellites. So optical satellites are those satellites that can penetrate through clouds. So we used our developed artificial intelligence model from vegetation to bare soil. So we also use the same model for the processing of land cover maps. So for this forest fire, we applied the normalized difference vegetation index, or the NDVI, and also the normalized burnt ratio. So NDVI for this part describes the difference between the visible and near infrared reflectance of vegetation cover. So it can also be used to estimate the density of greens on the area over the land. So we use that for the assessment of forest fire. We also monitored the Taal volcano eruption. So through the Pedro Center, DATOS monitored the eruption of Taal volcano last January 2020. So we were able to send these images to PHIVOLCS, the volcanology department of the Philippines, and all of these were used to measure subtle ground deformation. So it's the images that were sent to PHIVOLCS. Yeah. And here, and here, For us to proliferate our technologies, we make sure to forge partnerships with academic institutions, with government agencies, and we also train them in using our AI developed technologies through the Artificial Intelligence for Earth Observation Training Series. We also do other capacity building activities as well as information, education, and communication campaigns, like the provision of continuous support to their remote sensing, to their GIS, Geographic Information System, and data science needs and requirements. And for our data distribution, we have the Space Data Dashboard. The Space Data Dashboard is a geospatial summary of the available space-related data and the agencies that benefit from it. So currently, the Space Data Dashboard offers the following for the public use. It offers the air quality, maps for the air quality, water quality, even night lights, land cover, and also traffic monitoring. So for the flood situation maps from Typhoons Ronnie and Ulysses, the Datos Project's AI-generated flood situation maps are now uploaded at the GeoRisk Hazard Hunter website. So that's hazardhunter.georisk.gov.ph, where the users can now overlay other hazard maps for more data sources. And here's the data distribution for Diwata 2. Diwata 2 is a Philippine-made satellite. And
so this is a summary of.
Yeah. This one is the summary, of the AI for mapping efforts that we have developed. The applications can be classified into 5 thematic areas. We have the infrastructure, we have the disaster risk reduction and the climate change adaptation. We have the security and defense. The ones in blue are the ones that we have existing memorandum of agreement. The ones in purple, the violet, are the ones that we give freely if other people or researchers ask from us directly. And the ones in black are the ones in which we have ongoing talks for collaborations, and those are for continuous development. So we have corn mapping, mango tree mapping, sugarcane mapping in coordination with the Philippines Department of Agriculture. So we have coconut mapping with a certain university in the Philippines. We have building detection with the Department of Science, DSWD, Department of Social Works and Development. So we also have fish pen detection with the Philippine Statistics Authority. So we have earthquake, damage building detections, critical infrastructure mapping detection, which are all sent to the National DRRM Council, just in case those data sets are already available. So yes.
Summary of the AI for mapping efforts that we have developed. The applications can be classified into 5 thematic areas. So with that, I will be ending my presentation. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good day.
Okay, I will be ending my presentation, and that's it. Thank you very much. If you have other questions for DOST, ASTI, these are our contact details. We have Facebook pages, we have Instagram, Twitter, and it's our location and even our phone numbers and email addresses. So thank you so much for this. Sir Eric.
Yeah, thank you very much for Nikki for such impressive work in ASTI. There's one question from Tsai. That's about the source of the satellite images.
About the source of the satellite images, if you can see from the Pedro Center slide earlier, so we have Earth observation data. So we have other commercial satellites. So the Pedro now currently operates. We have the ground receiving station, which directly download images from the Diwata 1 satellite, as well as those commercial satellites like ComSat 3, like GUI, Novasar Cosmos SkyMed. So we have our own satellite images or Earth observation data from the Filipino-based, Filipino-developed satellites, but we also get data from satellite subscriptions from other satellite providers like PlanetScope. So all of those are, we have free satellites. We use some free satellites like the Novasar, like Landsat, but we also have subscriptions to other satellite providers like PlanetScope and Worldview too. So the DOST or the Philippine government gives us money for the subscription of those satellite, commercial satellites.
Okay. Unlike, well, you are a rich country then. Unlike other that we have to go through those 3 channels I'm asking, like yeah, you have to go to those Sentinel, Asia, International Charter, or Copernicus for support with the free satellite data. The Philippines bought them all. Okay, great.
No, the Philippines did not actually buy them. We only have subscriptions from those satellites. So we also have a limited funding for those satellites now that we have the Philippine Space Agency. But those satellites or those satellite images from the past are already archived in our repository. So we have the core and we have the Pedro Center. So right now, when there are extreme weather events, we make use of those downloaded satellite images from the past years and use other satellite images from PlanetScope and from Novasar, or from the free satellite images of Sentinel-1 and Landsat to compare those images, those 2 images. So we also have limited funding for satellite images, but at least those images that we have can compromise with all the DRRM initiatives that we need for the whole year.
Okay, because in case of a disaster, we can get free data. So those 3 mechanisms I mentioned in the chat, those are free if you would like to use them. So and yeah, Eric is the one. Also, you can ask for Sentinel Asia. Yeah, you can activate free data from free satellite data from those members, which include everybody that you mentioned. So those can be free. You don't have to pay. But if you're willing to pay, they're willing to sell. Good. Okay.
So we actually have we are a current partner of the Copernicus Emergency Response Cluster, and DOST ASTI personnel are part. Some DOST ASTI personnel are part of the Copernicus Response Cluster. So we got some free data from them.
Yeah, you don't need to pay. You don't need to pay, but you're willing to pay. Good for you. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let's thank Nikki again and welcome our last speaker today, Professor Kumar. Professor Kumar. Oh, I'm sorry, she's not online right now. I'll try contact her.
She just left. I think she was here. But so Jaime is here, you see? Yeah.
Yeah, if there's any question to all the speakers today, while I'm contacting Professor Kumar. Any question?
Yeah, Professor Pancha is here. So maybe, the technology with the Ken have been presented. I don't know.
Is there any from ASTI Philippines? Is there any API that you support from your sensor, and then the others can? I mean, the others country like Indonesia can access the data. Yeah,
she left, I guess. You should ask Lapan Basuki.
No, yeah, there's the problem with what you see in Indonesia. The problem with because right now is changing all the organ of the research area. So that's a problem. And we don't know exactly yet. Yeah.
Because I think the Philippines, they have that, I mean, coverage of Philippines, not Indonesia.
No. I mean, I know. But in the North Sulawesi, there is some area is near for the Philippines. So sometimes the people in the North Sulawesi and Manado can access.
Let's hear the response. Huh? She left also? Oh no, she's here. So. Oh, yeah, she sent somebody sent the URL in the chat.
I'm so sorry, sir. What was the question? Yeah.
Basuki, you ask again.
Yeah, I use provide like something like an API for your sensor.
No, sir. Ma'am Jeng, sorry, Ma'am Jelena knows this better. But for our field sensors, we have deployed almost 2,000 sensors all over the Philippines, and the only way of communication with these sensors are through text messages or even with satellite network. So we don't use any other technology on this one. So all of the data sets or all of the information and data from those field sensors or those sensors are sent to a centralized server located here in the ASTI. So we have our own server for the monitoring of the sensors data.
I mean, when you collect the data from the sensor in the server, are you publish again for the API for this sensor? I don't know, maybe some sensor you provide the API to others.
All of the data from the field sensors are sent to our DRRM networks. So we also send this to the PAG-ASA, which is the country's agency that monitor weather events in the Philippines. We also send this to Office of the President when needed, when they ask for it. We also send these data sets to the National DRRM Council. Even these data sets can be sent to all the local government units. But these data sets, sir, are all free. They can actually monitor their own weather sensors or their own sensors in their own community using the website. So these sensors are free of charge. They can always check the water level sensors in their community. But as the managers or as the agency that monitors these weather sensors, we send the data sets to other agencies for the DRRM efforts too.
Yeah, if I may just add quickly, all the data are sent to the servers and they are being accessed through the website only. So there's no API. Currently, there's no API for anyone to just freely interact and collect the data. So now every user, even other agencies, have to make requests to determine the location and the time frame where they want to get their data from. But of course, moving forward, with respect to open data, we want as much interfaces as possible so we can get almost real-time exchanges of information. Thank you, Basoy, for your question.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I don't know that Dr. Panchai is here or not.
Yes, I am here.
Yeah. Well, I see that your work with Ken can go together with the IP camera.
I think so. Maybe I will find out the for more detail about it.
Okay. Ken, do you think that you could help on this IoT with the camera thing?
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, then we can continue in the email conversation then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
She's back. Please,
Yeah.
Eric.
Yeah. Professor Kumar is back. Yeah. Please share your slides, Professor Kumar.
Yes. Yes, Eric. Yes. Is it visible?
Yes. Please from the first slide and go on, please.
Right. First of all, thank you, Eric, for the great opportunity to interact with eminent scientists over here in this virtual meeting. Basically, I'm a meteorologist, so my talk is mostly related to the physical mechanisms and related conditions and the interactions. So my focus is mainly theoretical understanding of the drought conditions. So everybody knows that drought is nothing but a scarcity of rainfall. How the drought is forming, either in terms of the agricultural drought, hydrological drought, as well as meteorological drought, if you consider. So how these droughts are categorizing by basing on the meteorological condition, by studying of impact of quasi-stationary waves and upper level circulations over the Indian summer monsoon conditions. So my topic is mainly related to what motivate me, especially over Indian monsoon region. Why? Because India is such a big country, so mainly depends on agriculture. So the agriculture forming community or the policy stakeholders, the most of the economy is mainly related to this agriculture. So that's why my point is how to mitigate the drought, what are the basic conditions for appearance and studying of the drought and drought prevailing conditions over Indian summer region. So we have a lot of information available from the previous studies. So I conducted some literature survey, and there are a lot of data sets have been used in this present particular aspect, and methodologies are also available. And we will discuss about some of my interesting results in this context. And finally, I'll share the summary and conclusions. So basically, as previously discussed, that drought is nothing but a scarcity of rainfall. India is the agriculture land. So 21.06% of land is facing severe drought conditions according to the drought early warning systems. So especially the extreme dry conditions or exceptional dry conditions or severe dry conditions or moderate, if we categorize all these things in subdivisional wise, so almost there is a small change from 1 to 1, but the moderate dry conditions are prevailing over the Indian subcontinents. So even the recent IPCC AR6 report also indicating that in the upcoming future days, there will be a chance for the increasing of moderate drought conditions that will lead to the scarcity of water availability, and it also it has a serious implications of the understanding of water availability and water resources. So basically, the summer monsoon rainfall is decreasing, especially the some particular regions, Central Indian region, North Indian region, from since 1950s due to the meridional temperature gradients and increased aerosol concentrations, warming from the Western Pacific Oceans, and sometimes the dampening of the Hadley circulation, which is available from the oceans to land subcontinent and land subcontinent to the oceans. So this cell is always changing from its original location. So this will be one of the reasons for the changes of the weakening of the low level circulations and the rapid ocean warming, especially around the Indian subcontinents, Arabian Sea, as well as Bay of Bengal. And even the urbanization impact and land use cover and land changes, industrializations, a lot of farming activities, these are changing land use and land cover changes. Apart from that, the above conditions, North Atlantic oscillation, so which is quite far away from the Indian subcontinent, they are also contributing a very, a break conditions in the Indian summer monsoon rainfall by changing up the Rossby waves or planetary scale circulations. So these downstream Rossby waves are creating, especially July, August months rainfall breaks. That's why the quasi-stationary waves are very, very, very important to mitigate the drought condition in the July and August months. So pre-monsoon tropical disturbances are also very much important because these will trigger the adiabatic condensation, and this will lead to they are the sources for the Rossby wave. So they propagate westward, and this will be the one of the important mechanism to maintain a quasi-stationary waves in the subtropical westerly jet stream. So in this context, the subtropical westerly jet stream and Tibetan anticyclonic regions are always in phase with each other. So they create some type of zonal shift from one location to another location. So during weak monsoon seasons, this blocking is mainly observed in the Western Asia. That is the one condition for the prevailing of the break situation over the Indian subcontinent. So this will mid-latitude intrusion of dry winds or whatever the cold air, this will create some type of weakening of the temperatures for the northern parts area, which will change the land sea thermal contrast. Finally, you know that monsoon is mainly driven by the land sea thermal contrast. So this is one of the very good reason for studying of downstream Rossby wave propagations. So my motive is if the break conditions are appearing in July and August continuously for a 15 days period or 20 days period, obviously we can see the drought phenomena will be. So that's why I want to study the physical mechanism, what type of meteorological influence is there on the drought phenomena, and how the mid-latitude downstream Rossby wave is influencing on the summer monsoon rainfall or any other remote forcing activity, and what is the linkage between these two. So I need to explore all these things in drought years, and is one of the reason for the extratropical waves. So the propagation and breaking is very, very important. So especially for forecasting of the regional and local weather conditions. I consider these data sets from the India Meteorological Department, IITM homogeneous monthly rainfall data, combined with analysis of precipitation with a high resolution of 2.5 degree by 4 and NOAA optimum, daily rainfall, daily monthly data is also considered, and NCEP and Curry analysis data is also utilized for the measurement of the asymptotic potential vorticity. So these are the methods that I have adapted for the study. The correlation quotient, which is very simple to define the relationship between two variables, and whether it is significant or not, whether the two variables are coincide. So what is the significance, either a 5% or 20% or 50%, we need to know that information. And also additionally, the moisture transport is very much important, because moisture is one of the basic boon for the monsoon. So I have to understand where the moisture zone is coming from, so that for that vertical integrated moisture transport is considered, and also the potential vorticity. So this is one of the basic tool to identify the quasi-stationary waves. So potential vorticity tools at a different particular levels, for example 340 degree Kelvin, 350 degree Kelvin, or 360 degree Kelvin. So these are very much useful for identifying the Rossby wave conditions. So basically, my study period is from 1951 to 2015. So I consider the subdivisional summer monsoon rainfall standardized anomalies. The red line one is showing the anomalies below -1, so which indicates the drought conditions. Above, the green color shades indicates the flood years or the active monsoon years. So from in this study period, I consider 15 drought years and 13 active monsoon years to understand the variations in the rainfall. You can see that the basic characteristics of the rainfall patterns. So the left side shows that active rainfall years, and the right side shows the drought conditions. You can say widespread of rainfall is possible in the active monsoons year, but whereas in the drought condition, you can see that the overall monsoon core region is showing a decrease of rainfall, and the primary peak of rainfall. Generally, if you want to assess the monsoon rainfall over India, first we need to concentrate the Western Ghats rainfall and the Northeastern, because orography is well influenced on the larger scale precipitation, which will contribute very good rainfall over Western Ghats and Northeast India. But during drought conditions, surprisingly, this rainfall is decreasing. This is one of the evidence for that. The upcoming days, we are receiving a very good number of, frequent drought conditions. So if you see the mean monthly rainfall departures in percentage, from June to September in 2008, it's one of the strongest El Nino year, minus 52.2% of rainfall deficiency is there in the June month. And if you consider July month, 2002 is showing minus 57.5% of rainfall. And August month, recent 2015 is showing a deficiency of 26.7%. And September, you can see 1980. It is one of the worst drought in the century. Overall, the JJ's rainfall departure, if you consider the overall deficiency of rainfall, is 23.2. So the time series analysis also clearly distinguish that the break conditions and the rainfall break days for 122 days, only a very few days only having very good rainfall. The remaining days are receiving no rainfall. So that's why the time series is one of the tool for understanding the break situations for the Indian subcontinent. You can see that the climatological picture for every year, when you compare with the climatological picture, the difference is the inhomogeneity rainfall is appearing from region to region. Sometimes in 1951, you can see the widespread rainfall in central part of India, but decrease of rainfall over west coast and northeast India. But in 2015, the rainfall is gradually shifting towards the northern part of the latitude. So this climatological or individual drought analysis of spatial distribution is a very good tool for identify the clear evidence of the appearance of the drought conditions. And also the anomalies are much more important. Why? Because it will give you the how much change of rainfall is there in particular 1 year to 1 year. So this difference will be this difference will be useful for quantifying the drought conditions. So I combined all these drought break conditions and I try to pick it represent in a OLR shape. So you can see that the OLR is showing a very high. That means high OLR indicates the suppressed convection. So overall Indian region and Western Arabian Sea and southern east Arabian Indian Ocean, they are showing a high increase of OLR, which indicates the suppression of the convection. So this is all possible due to the Indian Ocean temperatures, the SSTs. It may be the forcing from the Western Pacific Ocean or Indonesia through floor or Southern Indian Ocean cool temperatures. All these are changing the meridional circulation changes. So it will be suppressing the convections over the Indian subcontinent. So first, I want to identify the quasi-stationary waves in the pre-monsoon. So you can see that from the diagram, the downstream mid-latitude westerlies were observed 50 degrees to 20 degrees with a cyclonic circulation. This is one of the tool for representing the break conditions in the upcoming days. So when we observe this type of cyclonic circulation over this particular area, definitely in the upcoming days, it will be one of the situation for the appearing of the break conditions. Even at a 350 degree isentropic level also, you can see that the signatures of Crosby wave breaking. So 32 degrees to 70 degrees. In this particular case, you can see the waves, the mid-latitude westerlies are entering into the Indian Ocean. So it will change the meridional temperature gradient. So it leads to a break conditions for the Indian subcontinent. So at the same time, one more thing, the potential vortice fields are moving towards the south. So the cold air will be advecting from the original location. So this cold air will be going into the North India. So it will be changing the ocean temperatures and for causing the phenomena, drought phenomena. And coming to the heat sources conditions, generally the shifting of the heat sources are also equally important. In the active monsoon seasons, there is no shift of the the heat source conditions. Instead of in the original location, they are maintaining a very good strengthening of the heat source conditions, which will be helping for convective activity over the Indian region. But in the drought years, these are shifting from the original locations and it is moving towards the west. That creates a lot of changes in the anticyclonic circulations over the Philippines Islands along 100 degrees east to 150 degrees east. So this is one of the important mechanism when the heat source is shifting from its original location towards the west. It indicates that breaking conditions. Apart from that, we consider geopotential anomalies also. Geopotential anomalies are the clue for the rising temperatures. So the shifting of these particular heat source can trigger the anomaly changes in the jet stream activity. So this jet stream is changing the overall phenomena. So this will be inducing the changes in the temperature. So that's why temperatures indirectly representing the geopotential positive anomalies. So after that, you can see that the meridional wind anomalies. So the spatial shift of this deep convective heat source from its original location, a cyclonic circulation will be prevailing. It will be reducing the western part of the Asia temperature. So that leads to a meridional temperature and strong southerlies are prevailing from the mid latitudes to the Indian Ocean, Indian subcontinent. So you can see a clear picture of the cyclonic circulation is prevailing in the equator active conditions, but instead of cyclonic circulation, this cyclonic circulation is disintegrated and it is shifted towards the southern area. So this is also one of the reasons for the prominent break conditions, prevailing break conditions over the Indian subcontinent. And the larger scales.
Yeah, excuse me, Professor Kumar,
yes.
3 minutes.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Because the session has to be closed in 5 minutes.
Yes, just few minutes. And the whole circulation is also changing. The meridional circulations as well as the hydrological circulation is also moving from the original locations. For example, the Walker circulation is shifting from the Western Pacific from its original location. These are the primary reason for the break conditions, and the persistent weak upward transport is also changing from East Africa to the North South America. And in the drought year, this ascending branch is very weak compared to the Western Pacific Ocean. So this is mainly appearing over the Central Pacific Ocean. So the vertical integrated moisture, if you consider that the anomalous divergence is decreasing over India, because you can see that negative variables are observing in its particular area. So the moisture is transported towards the equatorial Indian instead of moving towards the Indian subcontinent. So the remote forcing techniques also are there. For example, Silk Road pattern and tropospheric temperature gradient, 3.4 temperatures, North Atlantic sea surface temperatures, and tropospheric temperature gradient. All these are indicating a positive and a negative anomalies, and they are quite a very good relationship with the Indian monsoon core region rainfall. You can see that the decreasing and increasing trends of the rainfall from varying, the interannual variation of different teleconnection indices and their trends in summer monsoon season for the period. The TT gradient is decreasing, whereas South Asian high is a high pressure region is increasing. So these are the primary tools to indicate that the efficiency of the rainfall. And this is one good example for the Silk Road patterns, how the mid-latitude waves are interacting with the Indian summer monsoon rainfall. So from Europe warming, from Europe region to the Indian subcontinent, the warming and cooling activities are definitely influences the Indian subcontinent rainfall. If you see the temperature, tropospheric temperature gradient in pre-monsoon, the temperature gradients are gradually decreasing because of this intrusion of these waves over the northern India. So the temperature gradient is gradually decreasing from 1972, and there is a quite good relationship between Silk Road pattern, and they are negatively correlated with the Indian monsoon rainfall. You can see that the North Atlantic sea surface temperatures also indirectly represented. So generally, I can say that most of the droughts are El Nino years, but the warm equatorial Pacific waters are moving away from the Indian subcontinent because they are carrying more amount of moisture-laden clouds towards the Indian subcontinent. But instead of that, because of these mid-latitude intrusion activities, this rainfall is not happening in especially in July and August. So these are the primary results from my study. Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry for all the speakers for not able to provide more time for discussion and also for the sharing. Maybe in the future events, we can have more sessions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you all the speakers and all your times. I think in addition to the updates of the case studies, we also need the criteria or best practices for the sharing of the knowledge and case studies. And also many speakers has mentioned about the challenges and also requirements while doing the case studies to solve the local questions. And so in the future events, I think we can also arrange kind of a training or some kind of workshop on tools and also analysis experiences in the future. I'm sorry, we have to close in a minute. So let me remind that on March 23rd, we have the 3 sessions for the joint workshop together with the environmental computing. So if you like to share anything, please let me know. We can arrange suitable time slots for you. I think Suhaimi, you are especially welcomed. Bazuki, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. If there's any question or discussion, please go through the email channels we used or direct contact the speaker. I will upload the slides from the speakers today to the APAN webpage for sharing. Thank you so much for your time today. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Let's break here.
Welcome, Leon.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Hope to see you face to face in next APAN meeting in summer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.